Well, Denise, I had an opportunity for a very unique experience,
I know.
something that I'm sure a lot of people don't get to do, but guess what it's about?
It's very crucial. I know that.
It is. And every household, every
Yeah.
person has to experience this, but talks about where your waste goes.
Yeah.
So we got an opportunity to go out to MSD and talk to some of the people out there at their treatment facilities. So take a look at this piece. Every month we do a segment with MSD and we call it Safe Clean Waterways, and I'm here with William Ford. Don't want to mess up your title, but you are the Process Supervisor of Operations with MSD, and welcome to Urban Lifestyles.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so tell me a little bit about what you do in the process that we see going on behind us.
So here at the Floyd's Fork Water Quality Treatment Center, we treat wastewater. This is one of 5 treatment facilities within water quality treatment facilities within the MSD system. So essentially what we do is anything that's flushed down the drain or the toilet, or that goes down the drain or the toilet, we essentially clean that water up and send it back out into the creeks and the streams around the county.
So in terms of the recycling process, in order to clean it up, this is so that the water is not harmful to the environment, and so that's the purpose of the treatment process.
That's exactly correct. So what happens is, through a collection of pipes, which we refer to as the collection system, we have raw sewage that comes into the plant, again coming from whether it's residential, business, or commercial industries. That sewage comes into the treatment facility. It goes through a bit of filtration processes, from the removal of grit and trash, along with the settling of solids, and pretty much the last phase is pretty much the removal of the harmful bacteria, or the sterilization of the harmful bacteria. So
when this process is going on, this is something that's happening. Does this go on around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, or is a point when it cuts off and on?
No, it's actually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we're here working, trying to provide, safe, clean waterways for the city. Something I think, interesting to know is, let's take, for instance, MSD, we serve approximately 750,000 people within Jefferson County.
Okay.
And if every person uses approximately 100 gallons of water per day, that would, if you multiply the two, that would give us about 75 million gallons of water per day that's being utilized. If you include commercial, industrial, and the other businesses, we're talking approximately 153 million gallons a day, approximately, that's being treated. So essentially, yeah, we're working around the clock, and it's quite a bit.
It's probably a good thing from the consumer standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, I'm a consumer, I'm a homeowner. What are some of the things that we can do on our end to make sure that your job works easier?
Watch what you place down the drain. Okay. Fats, oils, and greases. Be mindful of those things. Be mindful of flushable wipes. Even though they're sometimes they read that they're flushable, they give us trouble on the back end, or issues as far as pumps and just treatment equipment in general. Outside of that, those are some of the main things just to kind of be mindful of. The only things that really should go down the drain are, just, I guess, what's being used. What's being used.
This is a very difficult conversation. I understand that. But also from that perspective, so when something happens, the first thing is it starts from the home. It's going to go down the whatever line it goes down, and then initially it's going to end up at one of these 5 pumping stations, correct?
Yeah, one of the 5 treatment centers.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just like you pretty much hit it on the nose. It sounds like you're learning. It sounds like you pretty much have it. Through the collection system, which is pretty much just a series of pipes or sewers, right? And lift stations and pumping stations. So a lot of the wastewater comes to the treatment facilities either through gravity feed.
Okay.
Or, we have lift stations throughout the city too that actually, when it gets to the lowest point, it lifts the wastewater to another elevation, to a different elevation, to where it can gravity feed to the next
And one other thing that we were kind of talking about off camera is that this is also a part of the ecosystem because it helps feed the different bugs and bacteria. So how does that work as well?
Yeah, so our end process is clean water. You know, right before the end process, we oxygenate the effluent with dissolved oxygen, which, you know, that is great for aquatic life like fish and turtles and whatever, you know, other aquatic life that's, you know, in the receiving stream. So it's great on that end. As far as like bacteria, we try to keep the bacteria within the system. It's not we try, we do. We keep the bacteria within the system, and any bacteria that that does, I don't know, kind of escape the system, so to speak. It doesn't really escape the system, but that's the purpose of the UV, the ultraviolet light disinfection system. It sterilizes any bacteria that could possibly, you know, make it past that process or make it through, you know, to the end process. So.
And one other thing you mentioned when we were talking off camera was about at the end there's a fertilizer that's created and then resold. So how does that process work?
Yeah, so as you can see behind us, we refer to this as return activated sludge, and the return activated sludge is through population control with the microorganisms. We actually waste a majority, or not a majority, it just depends, you know, it depends on a lot of factors, but we waste some of the return activated sludge, which at that point is referred to as waste activated sludge. That waste activated sludge is placed in a tank. It's dewatered, and it's sent to the Morris Foreman Water Quality Treatment Center for further processing, and that material is actually placed in large burners or large dryers that heat the solids to approximately 600 degrees or so or more.
Well, as you can see, it's a very extensive process, and really and truly by the time the waste goes through all the treatment and this and that and the other, it can go back into the river, and as you can see downstream, people are back fishing again.
Yeah, but it makes me think of where you have catastrophes in other countries, and when you don't have that type of process, it's so essential what happens to those environments. So I'm so glad we have this.
Right, so some great things are happening. We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.